wrestling fans are so entitled and they think they know so much. And, they sometimes wrestling fans have an outsized opinion of what should and shouldn't be. Like you watch a movie, you don't like the ending. Oh, the director should have done this, should have done that, whatever, You can have an opinion. But I'll say this. You've never heard me slander John Cena.
Nope.
I got nothing bad to say about that man. He's always good to me. He's always cool with me. Um, then one day we'll talk about when he came by the house to my studio and
Ooh.
recorded a song with me
Ooh.
that's
Mm.
never been released.
Mm.
Different conversation. But he always been all right with me. And I just watched him and I watched his leadership. That dude ain't complain about nada and worked harder than anybody. And I'm gonna say that because I know how hard I worked. I know how hard people around me. We worked our asses off behind the scenes. You see the glitz and the glamour of the TV, but you don't see the travel and the working sick, working hurt. You know, John Cena. I never heard him complain about anything. I just saw him be a leader, work his ass off, work through injuries, work through inclement weather. I remember being in places where it was double digits below outside, and Cena shows up in his jorts.
Mm. On brand.
um, and let's keep in mind that for 20 years, John Cena carried WWE. Let me say that one more again for your ass. John Cena carried WWE for 20 years. He was the man, the headliner. Sold more merch, sold more tickets. He was that guy. I've said in the past that I won't tolerate Cena slander because that man thrived under pressure that would crumble most people. They couldn't even begin to handle the pressure that he thrived under as the face of the WWE. There were times when that dude wasn't home, literally, for weeks. From one show to the next promotional thing to the next thing to the thing back on the road. So I can only imagine what his body feels like at this stage of the game. And as somebody who actually grapples legitimately, listen, let me tell you, I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've been doing this for 12, 13 years now. I've been choked out a lot of times, many, many times. And sometimes when you're rolling with somebody who is better than you, or even somebody that's kind of on your level, and they get you, and you slip up and you make that mistake, and you're like, oh damn, they got me. You smile, you give the tap, like, you got me, man, good one.
Yeah.
All right, let's set up, let's go. So smiling when you get tapped out isn't, realistically, it's not unbelievable.
But Pete, I did watch it, right?
Okay.
So you got 19,232 people inside of this arena,
Mm-hmm.
and me and the millions and millions at home, and we're watching, and every single time it felt like we were getting Super Cena, it was Gunther would do something to cut him off, and then he'd build back up, and then we get a cut off again, and then he build back up. It seems like it was going.
So you weren't sure who was going to win.
We had no clue.
You thought Cena might pull the
Yes.
and pull it off and get out of it.
Yeah.
And retire undefeated. Or
Yeah.
not undefeated, but
It honestly felt that way. And I think I told you before, when something's real good to me, I find myself wherever, if I'm in the bed or sitting on a couch or something, I'll find myself standing up and then getting a little bit closer until I'm right up on the TV. And I'm right there like, come on, Cena. And I never was rooting for Cena. I was always on the other side of Cena sucks. I love him, respect him.
of course.
But I was on the other side. But now, at my big grown age, right? And seeing Cena at 48 years old doing this, it was 36 appearances, 15 matches over this last year, and it felt like 20 years ago. And I think that's why everybody was booing, because our childhood ended when he smiled and he winked and he tapped out. Childhood
over.
It was done.
So obviously, I don't quite have the fans' perspective. I saw it from two perspectives, from the jiu-jitsu background, when I've been caught, I was like, oh, fuck, you got me. I had tapped out. And then I saw it from the perspective of a professional wrestler who's been in the game for over 20 years, grinding. I know what my body feels like. I have never had the blessing and curse of being the man, being the face of a company, carrying the title, I've never had that. But I've been around it. I see what it is. I've carried a title for a long time. I've been a featured player. And what I saw was, first of all, what you saw with, is Cena going to do it? That's the epitome of what we do. Reel him in, reel him in. You went from where you were laid back to leaning up to moving a little closer to the edge of the bed to, as we say, the edge of your seat.